Good morning, everyone. So, at this point, I am going to tackle about lipids and its subtopics. Lipids as hydrophobic molecules. Fats, oil, and waxes are all examples of lipids. There are lots of lipids, but they all share the trait of being at least partially hydrophobic, meaning they won't mix with water. Water molecules are polar because they have positive and negative ends, rather like little magnets. Most lipids are nonpolar or having no charge areas, or only slightly polar with a very few charge areas. Water mixes with hydrophilic or water-loving compounds by sticking to their charge groups areas. Since lipids lack charge groups, the water molecules have nothing to stick to and don't mix with them. Classification of lipids. Lipids molecules are relatively large and nonpolar. Yet, within this broad description, lipid structures vary markedly. Lipids can be classified in four categories, with recognized major structural similarities. Include simple lipids, compound lipids, asteroids, and miscellaneous lipids. Simple lipids includes fats, oils, and waxes. These simple lipids are derivatives of lipid-like substances called fatty acids. Fatty acids are long-chain carboxylic acids, generally greater than about 12 carbons, that have no solubility in water. The hydrophilic carboxyl group is referred to as polar head, and the hydrophobic hydrocarbon portion is referred to as a nonpolar tail. Simple lipids. They are esters of fatty acids and alcohols. 1. Fats and oils. Esters of fatty acids with glycerol or triethylglycerols. 2. Waxes. Esters of fatty acids with high molecular weight monohydric alcohol. Fats and waxes are solids due to a higher composition of saturated fatty acids, while oils are liquids due to a higher composition of unsaturated fatty acids. Unsaturated fatty acids exist as cis and trans isomers. The cis isomer is more prevalent in nature. Oleic acid is an unsaturated fatty acid. The cis isomer has a band structure which prevents close stacking, resulting in a compound that resists solidification. Certain fatty acids, as well as other lipids, are biochemical precursors of several classes of hormones. For example, omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids are used to make hormones, the most common of which are the eicosanoids. These hormones are derived from fatty acids with 20 carbon atoms, either the omega-6 or arachidonic acid or the omega-3 eicosapentaenoic acid. Omega is the letter in the Greek alphabet. Correspondingly, the last carbon atom in a carbon chain of a compound is often referred to as the omega carbon. Fats in metabolism. As we all know, fats are what our bodies prefer when storing energy reserves. These reserves are in the form of triacylglycerols in fatty tissue. On average, this tissue stores about 2 to 3 weeks' worth of energy. Fats are an important food source for humans and normally account for about 25 to 50% of our calorie intake. Fats are an especially good source of metabolic energy. Most metabolic energy is derived from carbon oxidation. When oxidized to carbon dioxide and water, fats supply about 40 kilojoules per gram or 9.5 kcal per gram, which is more than twice the amount obtained carbohydrates or proteins. Compound lipids. Compound lipids are composed of fatty acid esters and other components. There are three broad categories of compound lipids: phospholipids, sphingolipids, and glycolipids. Phospholipids are one of the most significant and membrane components. The phospholipids are a group of compounds that yield one or fatty acid molecules, a phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base upon hydrolysis. In contrast to the triacylglycerols, phospholipids have a hydrophilic end that interacts with water. There are three categories of phospholipids: the phosphatidic acids, phosphatidylcholines, and phosphatidylethanolamines. Phosphatidic acids are glyceryl esters of fatty acids and phosphoric acid. The phosphatidic acids are important intermediates in the synthesis of triacylglycerols and other phospholipids. Phosphatidylcholine or lecithins are glyceryl esters of fatty acids, phosphoric acid, and choline. The single most important biological function for phosphatidylcholine is a membrane component which makes up between 10 and 20% of many membranes. Another important constituent of biological membranes is the phosphatidylethanolamines or cephalins. These lipids are glyceryl esters of fatty acids, phosphoric acid, and ethanolamine. Sphingolipids are another type of compound lipid that when hydrolyzed yield a hydrophilic group, either phosphate and choline, or a carbohydrate, a long-chain fatty acid, 18 to 26 carbons, sphingosine, and unsaturated amino alcohol. Sphingolipids are common membrane components because they have both hydrophobic and hydrophilic character. Sphingomyelins are found in the myelin sheath membranes that surround nerves. Glycolipids are a third type of compound lipid. These compounds that contain a carbohydrate group. The two most important classes of glycolipids are cerebrosides and gangliosides. These substances are found mainly in cell membranes of nerve and brain tissue. Asteroids. Asteroids are compounds that have the asteroid nucleus, which consists of 4 fused carbocyclic rings, and it possesses the asteroid nucleus containing 17 carbon atoms. Modifications of this nucleus that occur in the various asteroid compounds include, for example, added side alkyl chains, hydroxyl groups, carbonyl groups, and ring double band. Asteroids are closely related in structure but are highly diverse in function. For example, the adrenal cortex hormones are involved in metabolism, the sex hormones, and many others. Cholesterol is the parent asteroid compound from which the asteroid hormones are synthesized. In this process, cholesterol is converted to progesterone, a compound that helps control the menstrual cycle and pregnancy. This hormone is also the parent compound from which testosterone and the adrenal corticosteroids are produced. Cholesterol is also used to build cell membranes, many of which contain about 25% by mass of these asteroids. Hydrophobic lipids and biology. The hydrophobic nature of lipids has many important biological consequences. The water insolubility of lipids results in lipid aggregation that causes atherosclerosis, lipid aggregation that forms biological membranes. The hydrophilic part of lipid molecules is attracted to water and forms an interface with it, but the hydrophobic part distances itself from water molecules. Complex lipids such as phospholipids and sphingolipids have two hydrophobic alkyl groups. Atherosclerosis is a metabolic disease that leads to deposit of cholesterol and other lipids on the inner walls of the arteries. Blood pressure increases as the heart works harder to pump sufficient blood through the narrowed passage, which may eventually lead to heart attack. Plaque formation begins because of the lipid's natural tendency to aggregate.